Hi, my name is Gordy Hogue, and this is Community Connection. Each of us have stories that help us understand each other and help to bring our community closer together. I have been very fortunate to have met many interesting people who've had a positive, profound impact on our community and far beyond. People who've had incredible life experiences and fascinating stories. Community Connections is about these people and about their stories. I'm sure you'll enjoy meeting these amazing people as much as I have. Thank you. Please enjoy. Welcome to Community Connections. It is my honor today to have a wonderful friend, a businessman, a father, a partner, a president of the BIA, White Rock Pride Society, someone who's made enormous contributions to our community, Ernie Klassen. Welcome, Ernie.
Thank you, Gordy. It's a privilege to be part of this.
Well, we're delighted to have you. Can you tell us a little bit about where you grew up and how you got to White Rock?
Okay, well, I was born and raised in Abbotsford and spent the first 35 years of my life there. And I went to university in California and received a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree and majoring in photography. And so I moved back to Abbotsford, got married, and started up a photography studio called Image Makers Photography. And after my second of three children was born, he was born with cerebral palsy. And at that point, I formed the Upper Fraser Valley Neurological Society and became the executive director of that organization. As well, I was the executive director of the BC and Yukon Association for Child Development and Rehabilitation Services. After that, I got divorced and changed my careers and moved to Vancouver and started up a little shop called Ashbury and Logan on Davie Street. It was a gift store that actually did already exist. I did change it into a flower shop, and then I moved to White Rock and opened up a second location. And after 2 years of running two shops, I decided to sell the Vancouver shop and just focus on White Rock, since this was where my home and my whole life was.
And growing up in Abbotsford, and then how did you end up going to university in the States, and how did that grow out of your Abbotsford experiences?
Well, I grew up in a very conservative Mennonite family, and I wanted to get into the arts of some kind, and actually I initially checked into becoming an X-ray technician, and I couldn't quite get my head around the chemistry part of that and the physics part of that. So I moved, I started, I had always dabbled in photography. I was the yearbook editor in high school. And I found that there was a university in California, one of only 3 schools in North America, that offered a Bachelor of Arts degree where you could work, major in photography. So I ended up going down there, and small town boy moves to the big city of Santa Barbara.
Oh, can you tell us a little bit about having a son with cerebral palsy and then getting involved in the organizations and societies that support them, and how that has worked, and whether or not our communities and province have been helpful in the ways that we would want them to be?
Well, yeah, I really didn't know much of anything about that whole world until, again, my son was born, and he was diagnosed at about, I'm going to say 10 months of age, having cerebral palsy. And we were going to Children's Hospital and all the different support services in Vancouver, and realized that there was a lot of families in the Fraser Valley that had children with disabilities that needed either speech therapy or physiotherapy or some kind of services. So we, at the time, the social credit government was in power, and Peter Dueck was from Abbotsford, and he was the Minister of Health, and I knew him somewhat, and so we went, a group of parents went and lobbied and actually met directly with him. And he looked at us and he said, if I give you $1 million, what are you guys going to do with that money? And we said, well, we would start an organization that would serve the families all the way from Langley to Boston Bar. And so that actually, a few days later, we got a phone call that the Ministry of Health was prepared to expand these services, but all the money had to go to therapy services. And so were we prepared to look at fundraising all the capital costs? And so we did. We partnered at that time with the BC Lions Society for Children with Disabilities, and they helped us build a facility. And we ended up having 4 outreach facilities, one in Chilliwack, one in Hope, one in Langley, and one in Boston Bar. And so, yes, we ended up getting a great service for all the families at that point.
And then a wonderful experience that would be for you, dealing with government and organizations. And so as you came to this community, you became actively involved in so many ways. Can you talk a little bit about how that happened and how you got involved with so many different committees and getting so involved and active in fundraising and doing things to make our community a better place?
Well, growing up, I would have to say my parents, even though everything they did was focused through the church, but they instilled in us that you always give back to the community that you are part of. And so when I moved to White Rock, I had, as I said, I was married at one point. I had already divorced and I had come out. And at that point in time, I moved to White Rock, started my business. And for a few years, I just really ran my business and didn't get involved. And I don't know, I'm going to say about 12 years ago, it really felt like I needed to get back involved in the community. And so I started, my first real big involvement was through a group called the Night of Hope. And that's a group of ladies who all had experienced breast cancer. And they formed or organized a large gala in White Rock. And I was asked to participate. And so I met a whole lot of people through that organization that connected me from one thing to another. And then I got very involved in the business community and started off on the board of directors of the White Rock Business Improvement Association. Within a year, I think it was, I was the president of that organization. And then totally on with a different group of people, we ended up forming the White Rock Pride Society. And I was instrumental in having a rainbow crosswalk brought to White Rock. And we now have City Hall flying the Pride flag for 1 week every year. And now my involvement is with the Chamber of Commerce. And so I really enjoy being a part of the community.
Well, you've certainly been an active, positive participant in the community in so many ways. And you did some fundraising for the food bank as well. And you've done a number of things. Can you talk about how you perceive the community and some of the other things that you've been involved in terms of contributions?
Sure. I, like every other person who has a retail shop, would probably say that there isn't a day that goes by where somebody doesn't come knocking on your door asking for a donation for one fundraiser or another. And I do, as much as possible, like to help out with that whenever I can. I'm involved with the organization that deals with seniors, with the Come Share Society. We've, through the Pride Society, we're making a donation there. Through the Pride Society, we also made a donation to the food bank this past year, and Camp Alexandra, which runs programs for youth that are coming out, and also CARP is another organization that I've been working with recently.
And you've had a number of fundraisers that you've been a part of, whether it was Naughty Christmas, the events that they've held at Elks Hall each year.
That's right. The Pride Society has organized an annual fundraiser called Love is Love, and we were able to give several $1,000s through that fundraiser to Camp Alexandra. And again, yes, Naughty Christmas was also organized by the Pride Society, and that monies was directed to the food bank.
Also, there was a little bit of an issue with respect to the Catholic Community Center and wanting to do a fundraiser there. I understand there's been the application that has been made has been accepted at this point, and what is the status of that?
That case is right now before the BC Human Rights Tribunal. As you know, Gordy, the Pride Society was a sold-out event, the Love is Love event, and so we were looking for a larger facility, and we wanted to keep it within White Rock. And the Star of the Sea Community Center was the perfect venue for us. And when we put in our application, we were told that they would not rent it to any group that is part of the gay community. And so we have several lawyers who came forward and offered their services free of charge to take this to the Human Rights Tribunal and to let them make the decision. So,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so right now the case is before them, and as you probably saw in the paper this week, the Catholic Church asked that the case be dismissed, and the Human Rights Tribunal has said, no, we would like to hear all the evidence and we want to make the decision on that. So that's where we're at this point.
And it seems that many times in our lives when we go through some challenges, whether it's organizations or individually, it brings more attention to it. And in some ways that a lot of positive attention is a good thing.
And we have received overwhelming support from the local citizens of White Rock, and it's been great to receive that kind of support on this issue. And I have to say that there have been large numbers of members of Star of the Sea who are saying that the parish needs to change. I'll never forget this one lady. She was almost in tears in my store, and she said, I have a granddaughter who is gay, and I really want her to feel comfortable coming to church with me. She wants to be part of the Catholic community, and she does not feel that she's welcome there.
And you've been such a great leader in that, and I feel so positive about our community and the response that it is given to this incident in particular, but more broadly, the great support that you've received for the events that you put on through the White Rock Pride Society. And I think it makes us all feel pretty good about our community. You made reference to the Rainbow Sidewalk and to the flag raising and the declaration of a week, and certainly you've been instrumental in all of those things happening in our community and making us a better understanding, more human and more caring community. And you've done a wonderful job of leadership with respect to that. So thank you so much for continuing to do that.
Well, I want to thank you as well, Gordy, because you have been a leader in that whole area as well. And we totally appreciate all the support that we've received from you. Well,
it's been a good thing for all of us, I think, and a good experience. And it's only as we proceed through this, we're going to hopefully provide more insights to more people and a better understanding and acceptance of all people. Do you, Facebook, I think, is your main vehicle for communicating the Pride Society. Is that true? And do you get, how many people you got following you, and what kind of communications are you giving out of that?
Yeah, right now that is our only method. Although being a local business person and the community, a lot of people know who I am and where I am. So I get a lot of phone calls and I get a lot of visits coming to my shop. But as far as social media or anything else is concerned, it is through the White Rock Pride Society Facebook page that we promote all of our events. Right now, of course, with the pandemic going on in the world, we have had to cancel everything for this year. We are still planning to put rainbow flags up and down the business community of Marine Drive as well as Johnston Road the second half of January, so that that the community is aware that there is Pride going on in White Rock.
And Michael, your partner's been a great supporter through all of this as well.
Yes, he has. He's the person behind the scenes that does all my running around for me. And of course, yes, is very supportive.
And did he come to White Rock at the same time you did in the community?
No, I was here earlier. We actually met. He was living in Burnaby at the time. And when we decided that we were going to cohabitate and become a couple.
Sneaking in behind you there.
Yes. So he moved to White Rock 10 years ago now.
Well, you've been a great partnership and a great group of great contributors, as they're saying, to our whole community. So if you're looking back on the things you're doing and the things that as you move forward, what are the things that you're most proud of in terms of the contributions you're making and the challenges you've faced and the things that you build your foundation? You talked a little bit about your parents contributing and you learning so much out of that. Now, what are the things that you've done so much and made so many contributions? Are there some things that stand out for you?
Well, probably just having my family become very supportive from the time 25 years ago when I first came out. It wasn't quite the same as it is now. I would have to say Michael and I have a great relationship with all of my siblings, and we were happy and proud to have my mother attend our wedding. And that would be one of the big highlights, as well as my children. All three of our children were at our wedding and stood up for us. So I don't think it gets any better than that. I don't know that I expected to be an advocate in the way that I feel I have become in this community. That's something that I'm very proud of, that I've brought into the public, the fact that there is a LGBTQ community in White Rock, and the fact that we are so welcomed in this community is something I'm very proud of, that I was a contributor to that, as well as proud of the city that I live in.
And the contributor and indeed a leader. If there was a message that you wanted to give to other people in our community, maybe those who are not as accepting of that, what might that message be? Or what might the message also be to people who are having some reluctance in terms of coming out?
There's always people who are out there to support you. I would be more than happy to talk to anybody who is wanting to come out and is afraid. Everybody has to walk their own path and get to the point on their own. But there is a lot of support in this community. As far as the people, and I'm just going to give one example that did happen to me about a year ago. A very lovely lady who is a customer of mine, and I know she's a very strongly religious person. And she came after there was a newspaper article about the Star of the Sea not allowing us to have our event in the community center. And she said, I don't know why you are attacking and wanting to sue the church. And I said, well, we're not actually wanting to sue the church. And we were just wanting to rent the community center. We didn't even want to rent the church. And she looked at me and she goes, Ernie, you have done so much in this community. You're a public person in this community. What more do you people want than to have a rainbow crosswalk in this community? And I looked at her and I said, you know, one of the things that I really want is never to be referred to as you people. I said, if you people, using the term sort of in quotes at that time, if women hadn't stood up for the right to vote, you might not be able to vote to this day. And so if I can represent the fact that at some point in time, there is no such thing as that group or even gay marriage. You know, people talk about why can't there just be marriage? We don't ask a straight couple, are you a straight married couple? Yeah. And, you know, so those are the kind of things that I would love to continue to work on.
Yeah, it's a wonderful story. And I think in many ways we learn more out of stories than we do out of the principles that we try and present. Do you have other stories of people that have brought meaning or been excited or found ways to express themselves in meaningful ways that touched your being and our being?
Well, whenever we talk to our friends, there are so many stories, and one of our good friends, they're in their 60s, same as I am, and he was always concerned about letting his coworkers know that he was gay. And after 20 some years in the workplace, he never really did mention it to his coworkers. But at this point in time, he socializes with them, and they now know him, and together with his partner. And he realized after all these years that it really wasn't an issue.
Isn't that wonderful? So if you had the magic wand, Ernie, that could change our society or the way we relate or anything, what might you use that magic wand to do?
Well, I guess the biggest thing, of course, that everybody wants is world peace. So if we could create an environment where everybody is just treated equally, and there is no biases, there's no racism, there's no segregation, there's no finger pointing. Did you see that person? They look different or they act different. I mean, if we could all just learn to accept each other. One of my biggest, at least, philosophies of life has always been we should all be able to agree to disagree. If we're adults, we're all entitled to our opinions. But I would love to see a point in time and a place where just because you disagree with someone doesn't mean you have to end a friendship.
Yeah, I think that's so important. One of my favorite philosophers is John Stuart Mill, who said, you may understand your position extremely well, but unless you understand the other person's position or the other positions on that equally as well, you're not well enough informed to make a decision. And right. I really like that notion. Yeah. Ernie, thank you so very much. You've been a great contributor to our community. You've helped us all learn and become a better community. And you and Michael are a great combination, as you've described, and the person that does all the work as you stand out in the forefront, carrying that on. But I know you do an awful lot of work as well. So thank you so very much for being a part of Community Connections, and look forward to seeing you along the way. Thank you so very much. Thank you for joining us today on Community Connections. Please tune in to our next show as more amazing people share their wonderful stories. If you haven't already, please click on the red subscribe button below, right down there, and view our updates. Feel free to leave any thoughts or comments that you may have. We're always trying to do a better job of connecting this wonderful community. Thanks again for joining, and until next time, keep connecting. Thank you.